All right, after some much needed time off, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. On the bench today, I have this 2017 iMac. It's a 21.5-inch machine, and I have this idea. I currently run RetroPie on this uh, Raspberry Pi 400, and I like it. It's awesome. It's got lots of great emulators on it. Um, However, it does struggle sometimes. So my thought was, what if I take this 21-inch iMac? What if we install Linux, like say Linux Mint as an example, and I install RetroPie on top of that? What's the performance of that going to be like? I suspect better than this Raspberry Pi. So yeah, without further ado, let me get a USB stick built and let's get going. All right, so I've got that flash drive plugged in. So on the Mac, you're going to power it up and you're going to hold the Alt Option key. And that should bring up a boot menu. Okay, and it's always a bit wonky with Linux boot devices. Doesn't actually say which is which, so I'll just choose the first one and see if that's what it is. Okay. Filming these shiny screens is always a bit tricky, but anyway, so once you're at the live desktop, you could actually use Linux, test it out, have a look at it, and you haven't like done anything to your machine. It still has its old OS. However, that's not what we want to do. So let's get going. So it's pretty straightforward. Just answer the questions, right? It's going to ask language and some other localization stuff. So yeah, I want English. And yes, I want an English US keyboard. I'm going to install these multimedia codecs because I think I'll probably do some other videos with this iMac with Linux installed. So I'm going to install those. Okay, so I'm going to tell it to erase the entire disk because that's what I want. You could do something else, like if you are on a Windows laptop or something like that, or even a desktop machine, or even another machine with another version of Linux, you could have it partition that drive, and you could have like a dual boot, but that's not what I want. So we'll just click install now. And this is just letting you know that this is what's going to happen. And we're going to click continue. And this time zone is good enough for me. It's not my city, but it doesn't matter. All right, let's give it a name, me. And we'll do a super secret password that absolutely will not be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm just going to have it log on automatically because I prefer that. Obviously, if you want some security or a little bit more security, don't pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as your password, and don't have it log in automatically. And then you can also encrypt your home folder if you would. But I mean, I don't have any government secrets or nefarious stuff on my computers. I don't really give a rat's ass. All right, continue. All right, there you go. Installation complete. So I'll remove the flash drive and I'll reboot this, and then I'll stop getting lazy and I'll hook up a USB capture card so that I can stop filming this shiny screen. It's so easy to just be lazy and not hook it up, but I've already dug it out while this was installing. So see you in a minute. Okay, so here we are. Linux Mint is booted. Here's its welcome screen. This resolution is absolutely microscopic. I think I'm going to just change the display settings a little bit. Okay, so this is your welcome screen in Linux Mint. We don't necessarily need to see this, so I'm just going to close it. And let's open up the terminal. And let's see, we can update the system later. Thank you for popping that right up when I was trying to do something. Okay, so I'm just going to state it right now. Like, I absolutely do not have any of this stuff memorized, nor am I smart enough to know it off the top of my head. I literally have a laptop beside me with a guide, and I'm following the guide. And so I don't want to portray myself as something that I'm not. And yeah, I hope you guys appreciate it. Okay, so let's see if Git is installed. So let's do sudo apt install Git LSB release. And let's put my super secret password in. And the newest version, LSB release, is already the newest version. The following additional packages will be installed. Sure, why not? Let's just do that. I probably could have gotten away with not doing this, checking for Git. And as a matter of fact, there's probably a better way of finding out if Git is installed than trying to reinstall Git. But that's fine. Okay, and so now let's clone the RetroPie. Yeah, that sounds better. Okay. All right. So let's do an ls. ls is the same as cd in Windows. So if you're somewhat familiar with the command prompt in Windows, sorry, not cd, it's dir. Running a directory in Windows is dir, and in Linux it's just ls. So I probably should have been maybe in my downloads folder first, but that's okay. We'll just cd into the RetroPie folder, and then an ls and see what's in there. So there you go. So this is the RetroPie installer, this .sh file. I think I need to make it executable, although it already is green, but I'm just going to try and make it executable anyway. So chmod is the command that you can use for that, or that you do use for that, I should say. And RetroPie setup.sh. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to sudo. Sudo, in case you're not aware, is it's like you would run something as administrator in Windows. That's the analogy, right? I believe it stands for super user does. If anybody watching this video has information that's slightly different than that, make a comment, but I'm pretty sure it stands for super user does. And so anyway, we'll sudo the /retropie _setup.sh file. Okay. And that's going to get RetroPie installing. All right, so we'll just perform a basic install. So it's already highlighted. You can just use your arrow keys, and we'll just hit OK, and we'll click yes, and then it'll create a directory and do the installation for you. Okay, installation's done. There are some other things we could do that aren't really necessary for this. Like for instance, we could go in, I believe it's under here, and we could auto start this RetroPie installation, but we don't need to do that. So I'm just gonna quit. Okay, next steps. Okay, so we're gonna run, it's called emulation station, and at the first screen, it's going to tell you there's no gamepads detected. We're going to actually set up the keyboard first. So I believe we can just hold any button on the, there we go, any button on the keyboard, any key. So D-pad up, I'm just going to use the up arrow, sorry, the arrow keys. So D-pad down is down, and then the left, and then the right. I think start, I think I'll just make it enter, and select, I'll just make it shift, and then the A, B, X, whatever, I think I'm going to use the WASD keys. So I'll do A for east, S for south, W for north, D for west, and then the shoulder and stuff we don't need on the keyboard, so I think I can just hold any key. And then the hotkey, I think I'm going to make that end. And then there we go. Okay, so there you go. There's the main RetroPie screen. And so I think what I'll do now is set up a controller. So just give me a second. I will go get a controller and I'll hook it up. Okay, got my controller hooked up. So my enter key is the start menu. So we should be able to go down to configure input. Do you want to configure input? Yes. One gamepad detected. Hold a button. So I'll just hold the A button. Okay, so D-pad up, analog down, analog left, analog right, and then OK. And boom, we now have a controller set up, which is awesome. Okay, so now we can quit. So the reason why I set up the keyboard is just to have a fallback, just in case, I don't know, something happened to the controller or whatever, we can still at least use the keyboard to move around. Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. We do have RetroPie set up. We have a couple of input devices, but at this current moment, we have no ROMs for BIOSes. So like each machine needs a ROM BIOS. And that's why you're seeing nothing on the middle of the screen other than the configuration. And then once you have the ROM BIOSes for your machines, like, you know, NES, Super NES, PlayStation, etc., right? Then you need to get some game ROMs itself, okay? So I'm going to go get some BIOS ROMs on a flash drive and some game ROMs on the same flash drive, and then I will be back as soon as I have it plugged in. Hey, future me here. I was just editing this video and I realized that I didn't explain the folder structure of RetroPie very well. So you saw that I copied over some BIOS ROMs and some game ROMs. So after you're done installing RetroPie, you're going to have a folder, obviously, that the installer installed to. And inside of there is your BIOS folder and your ROMs folder. So your BIOS folder contains your machine BIOS ROMs, and your ROMs folder contains the machine, or sorry, the specific system game ROMs. And also, you probably saw that I was starting RetroPie by typing emulation station, which definitely works. One thing I didn't notice is that after it was first installed, under games, or sorry, in the start menu, if you want to call it that, I'll just say quote start menu. The game section wasn't actually there until I had rebooted, and I didn't realize it. So there is definitely a RetroPie shortcut right here in the start menu. All right, let's put some machine ROMs in the folder. Let's copy these. paste them in. All right, let's emulation station. Let's run this and see. Okay, so basically there'll be nothing here until there's actually some game ROMs in there. I think we can leave these as zip files. So let's do a Control A, Control X, and let's go up a directory and just paste it here. Okay, and now let's do emulation station again. And let's choose this. There we go. Okay, so got a bunch of games. I don't even remember what I used to play on the NES back in the day. No clue. Well, there's this. Everybody knows this. All right, I have the desktop audio turned down. Start. Oh, it doesn't like this controller. Okay, many long times later, I went and got I found my box of controllers. I was already using this one and this one, and they do work. I did find this this clone of a PS3 controller. I did actually get it working wirelessly, but then it decided to stop working. So that's cool. I kind of remember it doing that in the past, where it would initially connect and then you could never reconnect it again. And then this was that PS4 clone that technically was working, except one of the trigger buttons was wonky. Xbox 360 wired, just a SATEC something or another. However, after I did find my box of controllers, here's an Xbox 360 with a clone, a third-party clone version of the wireless receiver. I did actually, oops, I did get it. Well, you can't see anything here. I'll do it like this. I did get it working in RetroArch. And you know what? An Xbox 360 controller is fine for all of the emulators. It's got more than enough buttons. And now I can sit back with my feet up, which is awesome. It was a bit weird getting this working in Linux to get it to pair. Maybe I might make a video. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if you want a little tutorial on how to get that controller working in Linux. I'm using the newest Linux Mint, whatever it is, 21.3 or 22.3, or I don't know. It's something, but it's the newest version of Linux Mint. Yeah. Anyway, maybe I'll just try another game, like maybe an arcade game or something, in RetroArch here, and let's see how she goes. All right, let's try. Let's go into the arcade games here. Let's do. I don't know. Let's do this 1943. See how that goes. And there we go. I loved. I remember playing this or a game like this. Maybe it was 1942. I remember playing it in the arcades back in the 80s. And there's just something about pushing a button on a controller and seeing credits go up, and they aren't quarters. It's awesome. And then start. Yep. Not entirely sure. says push a button. Sure, I'd love to. Oh. Upgrade. Yes. Whoa. No. So yeah, this RetroArch or RetroPie, it is absolutely uh, much faster and better on this quad core Intel i5 than the Raspberry Pi 400. And honestly, I didn't think it was going to go any different than that. Honestly, like you don't have to buy an iMac. The form factor of this computer, right? Like it's an all-in-one. It's not crazy big. It's 21.5 inches. So I thought, yeah, let's do a retro emulation station, and I think it's freaking awesome. Um, Let me know down in the comments what you think. Let me know if you've done RetroArch or RetroPie on something that's different from a Raspberry Pi or an iMac or whatever. And as always, if you've got suggestions for content, go ahead and put it in the comments. I want to hear it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. The algorithm doesn't work without that. And we'll see you in the next one.